Chapter 51 Breaking the Shackles. Reaching the Limit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's agile. Agility suddenly reached 20 points, moreover, a prompt message appeared behind agile. Ling opened his mind and saw that it clearly said, Agility breaks the shackles again. It is difficult to increase agility by practicing low-level martial arts. Ling studied it carefully for a while and suddenly realized it. After the agility reaches 20 points, it can be said that Ling's speed has completely exceeded the limits of mortals. Ordinary mortals can run 100 meters for 9 seconds, which can be said to be almost impossible, but Ling can now easily run into 8 seconds. And he is not as durable as ordinary people. His endurance, explosive power, leaping ability, etc. are all extremely strong. Agility is not only about speed, it also includes reaction, jumping, explosiveness, etc. After your agility reaches a certain level, if you want to improve it again, you will have to obtain more advanced techniques. If not, even if you learn low-level skills, they can only be used as a foundation to continuously strengthen yourself. For ordinary people, when they reach this stage, they will definitely give up learning low-level skills, but I am different. I can cheat. Ling thought. I can definitely learn all the low-level skills and turn them into my foundation. He believes that as long as the foundation is rich enough, there will always be a day when the sand becomes a tower and the river becomes a river. How about it? Seeing that Ling had been silent for a long time this time, Tong Yuan thought that he had not learned Bagwazang, so he couldn't help but comfort him. This Bagwazang is derived from the Fushi Bagua diagram and is extremely difficult to learn. Don't worry if you don't learn it thoroughly in a moment. You must know that I spent a lot of effort to learn this Bagwazang. Senior. Ling looked at Tong Yuan with a strange expression, coughed dryly, and whispered. I have gained a thorough understanding of Bagwazang. Tong Yuan's expression froze, and he could no longer say any words of comfort. He said quietly after a long while. You have a clear understanding. Why do you still look like this? I felt like I had broken through the shackles, so I fell into a certain amount of enlightenment. Ling explained. Tong Yuan looked at Ling carefully, even touched the bones directly with his hand, and said with relief after a while. Sure enough, the skin, meridians, and bones of your legs are so much stronger, more than 20 times stronger than ordinary people. No wonder you can break the shackles. He asked Ling to practice Bagwazang. Ling nodded and turned around. His hands moved back and forth in the void as if they were piercing flowers. At the extreme point, he could even faintly see a Bagua pattern condensing into shape in the void. Only then did Tong Yuan completely believe what Ling said. He sighed so much that he even began to feel a little numb. Ling's talent is so high that it can no longer be described in words. Although I know the iron sand palm, lion walking palm, and python walking palm that I will teach you next, I am not proficient in it. The main reason is that I don't think it is necessary to spend time practicing such low-level martial arts. If you are willing to learn, I will teach them to you, of course, because I am not proficient in them. It may not be explained in a very subtle way. I can only give you the original text records of these 3 methods one by one. I studied. Ling was still decisive. Good. Tong Yuan immediately began to teach Shi Zhang. Ling listened to the description. He closed his eyes slightly, and various details of the lion walking palm flashed through his mind. Then, there is an extra book on the library bookshelf, the lion's palm. Almost at the same time, lion walking palm full level. Strength plus 1.1, agility plus 0, physique plus 1.1, defense plus 0.2. Ling felt that his strength and physique had increased significantly. Although this lion walking palm is far inferior to the 100 birds chaotic phoenix spear, it still has its own uniqueness. If Ling's agility had not broken the shackles and could no longer increase his agility, this lion walking palm would definitely increase his agility a lot. It's just that. Although the agility has not increased, there is an additional line of defense. Ling was confused. Seeing the explanation behind Defense Plus, he clicked on it and took a look. A long while, he understood. It turns out that this mostly technical technique allows you to advance up to 3 physical qualities. Now that your agility is immobile, you can naturally improve your defense. The meaning is very simple. To put it bluntly, the energy that used to go to agility is now transferred to defense, but because a lot of damage will be done during the transfer process, there will definitely be a loss of defense points. Unless you practice defensive skills like the golden bell cover and the iron cloth shirt, the defense points will definitely not be depleted. I see. Ding Ling was relieved and no longer worried. He can practice most kung fu. If he finishes studying the hundreds of martial arts here in Tongyuan, he estimated that strength, agility, physique, and defense should be able to break the shackles one after another. Even if Tingtua transfers energy to the defense, there will be some loss, but the large portion more than makes up for it all. Whoops. Ding Ling's figure is like a fierce lion, with a pair of palms that can strike like a tiger. His domineering attitude reaches the extreme. It's like a lion running wildly on the grassland and roaring up to the sky. Comes with an awe-inspiring air. Good. Tong Yuan applauded and exclaimed. I haven't grasped the essence of this lion palm. Unexpectedly, Ding Ling, you turned it into instinct after just listening to it once. This kind of talent is really a natural martial god. That he looked at Ding Ling more and more like looking at a treasure. Zhao Yun felt more and more ashamed of himself. Ding Ling could learn every skill very quickly, and it was very good for him to understand it thoroughly in such a short time, let alone learn it. Compare with Ding Ling. Zhao Yun felt like an ant and Ding Ling was like a god. He couldn't help but look up at Ding Ling. Of course, he also remembered what his master said, not to compare with Ding Ling, otherwise, it would be enough to collapse his confidence. Next, I will teach you the Python palm. I still only have the moves and the original text. I won't explain it to you. After finding that the explanation was useless, Tong Yuan directly explained the original text and practiced the moves. Ding Ling read it once, after a moment, with a book Python palm in the library. Maximum level of Python palm, strength plus 0.9, agility plus 0, constitution plus 0.9, defense plus 0.2, whoosh. Ding Ling understood everything about Python palm. His palms seemed to have turned into a huge poisonous python at this moment. He was full of murderous aura. He slapped and drilled into the air, just like a python piercing through the air and opening its mouth to bite people. Tong Yuan's heart couldn't help but beat faster. It worked again. Ding Ling actually doesn't need to be explained. Just give him a martial arts secret book, and he can learn it quickly and turn it into instinct. This kind of talent. Tong Yuan was so shocked that his hands and feet couldn't help but tremble a little. For the first time, he really realized, Ding Ling might be more talented and more peerless than he thought. In order to verify his conjecture, thanks to 10 years in a flash, for the reward of 100 book coins. Thanks to all the book friends who support this book. Chapter 52, Talents Beyond the Child of Time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The teaching method of Iron Sand Palm. Tong Yuan recited the original martial arts secrets he had memorized verbatim, and the moves were also very precise, without any annotations of his own. He wanted to see if Ding Ling could also learn Iron Sand Palm quickly under such circumstances. Ding Ling did not know what Tong Yuan was thinking. He still followed his example. A moment later, Iron Sand Palm max level. Strength plus 0.2. Agility plus 0. Constitution plus 0.8. Defense plus 0.5. Crack. Bang. At the moment when Iron Sand Palm reached the max level, Ding Ling's bones made a crisp sound again. He knew that the shackles of his body were broken again. This time it was strength and agility. He glanced at the character panel. Strength. Root 1, ordinary people have 1 point, Wisdom 2, Strength 17.8 plus 1.1 plus 0.9 plus 0.2 Sad Face 20, Agility 20, Constitution 17.2 plus 1.1 plus 0.9 plus 0.8, 20, Defense 2 plus 0.2 plus 0.2 plus 0.5, 2.9, Charm 3, sure enough, Strength, Constitution, and Agility have all reached the limit of 20 points. Strength has reached a terrifying 2,000 pounds. A random punch is enough to easily kill a calf. If you add martial arts techniques to hit 2,000 pounds, a grown bull can be easily killed by Ding Ling. Ding Ling has reached the current level of strength. It can be said that there is 1,000 pounds of strength in every move, and he can be called a great general. Because his physical fitness has reached 20 points, as a result, his endurance and stamina are particularly long, and he can fight at his peak for a day and a night. This is the benefit of physical fitness to the limit. Needless to say, the advantage of agility can make Ding Ling's punching, gun and knife reach the fastest speed. If the strength and physique are equal to Ding Ling, but the agility is not as good as Ding Ling, then perhaps in a few moves, he will be defeated by Ding Ling's advantage of speed. All three items have reached the limit. Ding Ling only felt extremely relaxed and comfortable, with an indescribable sense of power flowing through his limbs, followed by a huge sense of hunger that swept over like an overwhelming force. Ding Ling knew that this was the sequelae of constantly improving himself. He told Tong Yuan about this. Tong Yuan was shocked and trembling, thinking, Ding Ling can really practice martial arts into a state of perfection in a moment without any explanation, just by relying on a secret book. This kind of talent, this kind of comprehension, this kind of luck. Is this sure to be a human? The sons of the times are definitely far inferior to him, that the sons of the times Qi Yu and Huang Di, these are the two most well-known terrifying giants handed down from ancient times. But even these two giants, Tong Yuan believed that they could never be stronger than Ding Ling. At least in terms of martial arts talent. Is Ding Ling's potential going to surpass the Yellow Emperor and Qi Yu in ancient times? Tong Yuan's heart was beating very fast. He had a hunch, he was about to witness the rise of a legend. Tong Yuan took the initiative to take Zhao Yun and Ding Ling to go hunting together. The most abundant thing in the mountains is fierce beasts. The three of them are peerless masters. With the joint efforts, 2 bears and a tiger were killed and carried directly back to Penglai Mountain. Penglai Mountain originally had no name. It was called Penglai Mountain because the Penglai gun god lived in seclusion here. The players saw that Ding Ling had received so much attention from Tong Yuan in just a few days. It even led Tong Yuan to take the initiative to help with hunting. This is unprecedented. It made all the players couldn't help but be surprised. This Ding Ling is indeed from a hidden family, and his methods are extraordinary. We have been here for so long, but we have never met Tong Yuan. Ding Ling met him right away, and seeing how they were talking and laughing, I seriously suspect that Tong Yuan has passed on all his unique skills to Ding Ling. As soon as these words came out, the players staying in Penglai Mountain were extremely envious and jealous. They were extremely jealous. This person is most afraid of comparison. Compare with Ding Ling. The sense of gap came up instantly. Many players couldn't stand this heavy blow to their spiritual. One by one, the martial arts practitioners began to be absent-minded, and they were scolded several times by the master who taught martial arts, and then they became more serious. When Ding Ling returned to the mountain, he started to barbecue. Several people did it together. The speed was naturally fast. After a while, Ding Ling was full and felt refreshed. Compare eating instant noodles and bread in the real world to eating the meat of various beasts and wild animals in this game world. The feeling is completely different. Do you want to continue practicing martial arts? Tong Yuan stared at Ding Ling with his eyes. His mentality at this moment is completely different from before. After realizing that Ding Ling's martial arts talent is even more terrifying than the Sun of Time. Tong Yuan is particularly enthusiastic and proactive towards Ding Ling. He originally had absolute doubts about whether the mortal world can achieve a martial god, but now Ding Ling gave him a glimmer of hope. Maybe Ding Ling can reproduce the myth of Qi Yu and Huang Di in ancient times. Of course. Ding Ling nodded and said. Okay. Tong Yuan stood up. I'll leave all the body skills and palm skills to you. Next, I'll teach you boxing skills. I know 4 complete versions of boxing skills, namely Mantis Fist, Feng Men Fist, Kong Men Fist, and Kai Family Fist. There are also many other non-complete versions, but time has passed and I have not learned it for a long time. I have also forgotten the inner methods and only roughly remember some tricks. I will also teach you everything. You can remember and learn as much as you can. It's up to you. Anyway, I haven't mastered or learned most of them. Finished, Tong Yuan took the lead in practicing mantis boxing. His punches are like wind and lightning, and his speed is extremely fast. He is like a mantis attacking, and he will definitely kill the enemy with one blow. The punches are extremely powerful. Attack people's vital points with every move. Tong Yuan didn't explain either, just practice step by step and recite secrets. After a while, he stopped and stood up, looking at Ding Ling. Ding Ling closed his eyes. The scene just now passed through the sea of consciousness. A book immediately appeared on the library bookshelf, Mantis Fist. In an instant, full level of Mantis Fist. Strength +0, agility +0, physique +0, defense +0.8. Obviously, Mantis Fist is also a low-level martial arts, not a high-level one. Therefore, Ding Ling could no longer increase his strength, agility, and physical attributes. However, after the energy of these three items was integrated into the defense attribute point, although it was somewhat worn out, but it still improved the defense by 0.8 points. After defense is improved, Ding Ling felt particularly obvious. His skin and internal organs seemed to have received mysterious energy from being tempered over thousands of times, becoming more and more tough, powerful, and unstoppable. Ding Ling was pleasantly surprised. The defense was so strong and the effect was so obvious. If it continues to develop, will it be no problem to carry a sharp arrow in the future? Call. Ding Ling took a long breath and began to practice the Mantis Fist. Boom. The punch was punched with both force and speed, and the sound of wind and thunder sounded in the void. Chapter 53: 10 Ways of Attack and Defense with Weapons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding Ling finished a complete and beautiful set of mantis boxing moves that looked like art. Zhao Yun was amazed in his heart, and at the same time, he completely gave up the idea of competing with Ding Ling. I began to learn from Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian, and looked at Ding Ling with the eyes of a god looking up at the mountains. Sure enough, I learned it and turned it into instinct. Tong Yuan had already been mentally prepared, and without thinking too much, he directly taught the next set of boxing techniques, one set after another. Ding Ling was not surprised every time, he learned it and reached full level in a moment. Full level Fengmen Fist, strength +0, agility +0, physique +0, defense +0.6, full level Confucius Boxing, defense +0.9, Kai Family Boxing full level, defense +0.6. The strongest one is Confucius Boxing, which is rumored to be a Confucian boxing method created by the Confucian Saint Confucius. It is a sage on the outside and a king on the inside. It can cultivate one's character and kill enemies. A boxing technique that coexists with elegance, beauty and strength. Legend has it that in order to turn this boxing technique into instinct and integrate it into the limbs and bones, one must study Confucius's teachings hard and reach the realm of Confucian semi-sage. Tong Yuan was deeply aware of the difficulty of this method. I gave up after learning the introductory stage, but even so, Ding Ling still reached full level instantly. After defeating a set of Confucian boxing techniques, Tong Yuan and others saw the real boxing handed down from the Confucius family that coexists with Confucianism and Taoism. It's amazing. Zhao Yun was dazzled by what he saw. Ding Ling learns boxing, palm skills, and body skills one after another without stopping. Can Zhao Yun say that he has forgotten most of the mental formulas and moves? Where is Ding Ling? I have completely learned to merge into the realm of transformation. As expected of a person whom Zhao Bingxian admires to the core, Zhao Yun looked at Ding Ling with more and more surprise and admiration. This is the instinctive reaction of worshipping the strong. Good, Tong Yuan applauded and praised. Next, he practiced the fragments of more than a dozen boxing techniques. Ding Ling also reached the level instantly. It's just because these fragments are not complete versions, and some of them are just showy, without any intention. Although Ding Ling has reached the full level, he has not made much progress. Defense +0.1. This is the end result. It can only be said that the remaining chapters are the remaining chapters, but even so, it's better than nothing. Tong Yuan became more and more satisfied. Because he found that even with the fragments, Ling could cultivate to a level that was difficult for him to achieve in a short period of time. This kind of qualification is gifted with understanding. It is truly a blessing from heaven and earth. Next, I'll teach you the sword skills. Tong Yuan took out a piece of dead wood to make a knife. Every change is inseparable from its origin. At my level, even rotten wood can be turned into weapons with extraordinary power. Just be optimistic. What I am going to practice next is the Yinjing sword technique. I have practiced this sword technique to the point of great success. The environment can be transformed into the void, attacking and killing the enemy like a white cloud floating in the sky, making it impossible to guard against and unpredictable. Tong Yuan said something, then the exercises started. He still followed the instructions and did not explain the secrets. Ling's talent didn't need any explanation at all, so there was no need for him to waste time explaining it. After one pass, various sword moves and mental techniques flashed through Ling's mind. Then there was an additional book on the library bookshelf, Cloud Strike Knife Technique. In an instant, full level of Cloud Strike Sword Technique, strength plus 0.2, agility plus 0.2, physique plus 0.2, this is a martial arts book that is obviously of a higher level than Mantis Fist and Confucius Fist. It is a true high-level martial arts. It actually made Ling's strength, agility, and physique even better. Although there is not much progress, but at Ling's level, every improvement is a huge victory. Kong. He felt that his strength had become stronger. He held a spear in his hand, used the spear as a knife, and used the sword technique of Izumo's sword attack, and actually transformed into phantoms. When the sword finally struck out, it seemed that a wisp of energy had condensed. White auspicious clouds. This sword technique is so powerful. Zhao Yun was shocked. Tong Yuan praised. It's really amazing. You can learn such a difficult sword technique so quickly without any explanation. Then the next more difficult shield technique, halberd technique, etc. will be no problem for you. Next, Tong Yuan taught Ling in order, halberd technique, spear technique, sword technique, hammer technique, whip technique, fork technique, stick technique, shield striking technique, and axe technique. Each one is far inferior to the 100 Birds Chaofeng spear, even worse than the cloud attack sword technique. Therefore, although Ling has learned more than a dozen complete versions of various offensive and defensive methods with various instruments, there are also dozens of incomplete offensive and defensive methods, but the end result is, defense plus 6.1, even so, Ling was already very satisfied, because his current strength has changed greatly again. Strength, root bone 1 point for ordinary people, wisdom 2, strength 20.2, agility 20.2, constitution 20.2, defense 2.9 plus 0.8 plus 0.6 plus 0.9 plus 0.6 plus 0.1 plus 6.1 sad face 12, charm 3, after the defense broke through 10 points, Ling once again broke through a layer of bottlenecks. The skin membrane and internal organs have been tempered in an extraordinary way. To this day, Ling is afraid that even if a sharp arrow pierces his body, he will not die. Of course, the premise is that it cannot penetrate vital parts, such as the heart, head, etc. You can imagine how powerful his defensive power is on his body. In terms of defense power, it is already more than 10 times that of ordinary people. Call. Ling took a long breath, and his bones and meridians made an explosive sound. This was a sound that could only occur after reaching a certain level. Golu. My stomach is growling again. This is hungry. Tong Yuan and Zhao Yun immediately took Ling to hunt again. This time, I killed 3 wild boars, a tiger, and a giant python. Ling carried 2 wild boars alone. On the way, many players saw this scene and were dumbfounded and speechless. Ling is probably over 1,000 kilograms strong, right? He can carry such a big wild boar, and he can carry it so far and for so long. His endurance are really amazing. This guy can't really learn any peerless magical skills, right? Otherwise, how could he change so much in just a few days? Can you be smarter? How many days can a person learn peerless magical skills? Martial arts novels are not that nonsense. Brother. What Ding Ling did in Jizhou is known to everyone. What's the point of criticizing me here? You have the ability to question Ding Ling in person and criticize other netizens. The Penglai Mountain martial arts players were once again hit hard by Ding Ling. Especially the next day, when they learned that Ding Ling had learned martial arts and was about to return from the mountain, they were even more shocked. Damn it! This guy Ding Ling has actually learned a peerless magical skill. In just a few days. It feels so fantasy. You wouldn't dare to think like this in your dreams. How did Ding Ling do it? It's incredible. I wouldn't believe it unless I saw it with my own eyes. I feel like this is just a rumor that the three of them became a tiger. The players were talking a lot, those who have faith, there are also those who don't believe. Of course, there is no shortage of people eating melons and watching shows. Chapter 54, Fighting with Zhao Yun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Ding Ling came back from hunting, Zhao Bingxian and Zhao Xiaoyu came over to help with the barbecue. After eating and drinking, at the request of Tong Yuan and others, Ding Ling began to practice what he had learned in the mountains, from halberd, spear, shield, body, palm, fist, to Lingi spear, by Niao Chao Feng spear, various martial arts, change as you like, attack and defense as you wish. It was so mysterious that it was incredible. Tong Yuan and his party were amazed. I feel inferior. In a few days, I have learned everything I have learned in my life. And most of them are better than me. Tong Yuan looked at Ding Ling with more and more satisfaction. At this moment, he completely regarded Ding Ling as a future martial god. After thinking it over, he was no longer depressed. Instead, he felt that it was normal for a martial god like Ding Ling to learn these martial arts skills to this extent. After all, he is a god among martial artists. After Ding Ling finished practicing, Tong Yuan asked Zhao Yun to compete with Ding Ling. Ding Ling's eyes lit up. His road to becoming a god of war requires competing with the strong in the plain, and Zhao Yun definitely meets the requirements. Zhao Yun waved his hands and said angrily, I am not as good as Brother Ding, so I'd better not compete. Zhao Yun, who was dazzled by Ding Ling's speed of learning martial arts and whose mentality was unbalanced, no longer had the confidence to compete with Ding Ling. Just give it a try. Tong Yuan saw Ding Ling's eagerness to try, so he went with the flow and said, Zhao Yun, you have lived in the mountains for a long time, and you are going to compete with your peers, so as not to claim to be invincible and underestimate the heroes of the world. Zhao Yun was speechless. He was indeed a little flattered by the outer visitor a few days ago. Although he was still steady, he still had a sense of confidence in his bones that his master was the best in the world and he was the second, and the arrival of Ding Ling. His confidence was completely shattered. He didn't even have the confidence to fight Ding Ling now, because he knew that if they fought, he would definitely lose, but the master said so. He could only cheer up, stand up, hold the spear in his hand, and stand opposite Ding Ling. In order to avoid hurting each other, you can use wooden sticks to compete. Tong Yuan asked Zhao Xiaoyu to find 2 light wooden sticks like white poles in the house. Ding Ling and Zhao Yun each had one. After the 2 sides stood again, after Tong Yuan said start, they all used the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear technique to stab each other. Both of them used the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear extremely fast. Clang! Clang clang clang! One spear was faster than the other, piercing the void like fireworks. Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian couldn't see where the spear tip was with their naked eyes. They only saw the starlight shining in the sky, and the sound of bursting and breaking through the air passed by their ears from time to time. The two fought fast. In just a moment, they fought for more than a dozen rounds. In the void, a pattern of birds paying homage to the phoenix could be seen flashing by. The 2 white poles turned into 2 magic spears, exerting infinite power. Boom. But every time they collided, Zhao Yun was struck by lightning. He found that his strength was far inferior to Ding Ling. Whenever he was hit by the white wooden stick, he felt like being hit by a 1,000-pound hammer, and he felt so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Bang, bang, bang. Another dozen rounds of fighting. 3 collisions in the middle. Zhao Yun could no longer bear it, and with a loud shout, he jumped out of the battle circle and raised his hand and said, "Stop, stop, stop. I give up. Don't try again." Ding Ling felt a little unsatisfied. Zhao Yun understood, his eyes twitched twice, and he shook his head decisively. "No more fighting. I have said long ago that I can't be your opponent. This has further proved my words. I am not as good as you in terms of skills and strength. If you hadn't been suppressing me, I would have been defeated long ago." Tong Yuan deeply agreed. He also saw that Ding Ling's 100 birds paying homage to the Phoenix Spear was suppressing him. If he fully exerted his strength, it would be a question whether Zhao Yun could hold off for 10 rounds. In the final analysis, Zhao Yun has not fully grown up yet. If he really grows up, it is estimated that he will not have a problem blocking Ding Ling for hundreds of rounds, but when Zhao Yun really grows up, how much will Ding Ling grow to? By then, Zhao Yun will definitely not be his opponent. Zhao Yun obviously thought it through and expressed his admiration for Ding Ling. Progress of the Path of the God of War. Point 1. Defeat more than 20 Plane Masters, 4/20. Without a doubt, the defeat of Zhao Yun just now counts. That's enough. Tong Yuan no longer forced Zhao Yun, stroked his beard and smiled. Zhao Yun is my most proud disciple. But I never expected that in my later years, I would meet a genius like Ding Ling. God has been very kind to me. He paused and asked. Ding Ling, what are your plans for the future? I want to learn more martial arts and improve myself. Ding Ling's reply was very natural, decisive and straightforward. Oh, Tong Yuan stroked his beard and smiled. You are so strong, but you are still not satisfied. Learning never ends. I am still far behind you, senior. How can I say I am strong? Zhao Yun was speechless. Ding Ling has begun to move towards the realm of his master. What a high spirit and strong self-confidence is this? When will I be able to have such self-confidence? Spirit? Ha ha ha. Tong Yuan did not take it as an offense, but was very satisfied with Ding Ling's high self-confidence and unsatisfied attitude. You can think like that. It's worth it that I passed on all my life's learning to you. It's worth it that I believe you will become the future god of war. Tong Yuan paused and said. I have an old friend who should be an official in Luoyang now. If you want to continue learning martial arts, you might as well visit him. He asked Zhao Yun to bring pen, ink, paper and inkstone. He spread out the paper, wrote a letter with a pen, stamped it, folded it, handed it to Ding Ling, and said with a hearty smile. Take my letter to see him. He will definitely teach you martial arts. Ding Ling hurriedly took it and stood up to express his gratitude. Tong Yuan waved his hand and said. Don't be so polite to me. What I am most looking forward to now is whether you can achieve the realm of the god of war on land. Can you replicate the legends of Qi Yu and Huang Di in ancient times? Qi Yu, Huang Di. Ding Ling was stunned. These two are ancient gods. Tong Yuan actually put himself on par with the gods, which shows how much he values himself. Ding Ling's heart was filled with emotion. He was very grateful to Tong Yuan and thanked him 3 times. Tong Yuan insisted that there was no need for further courtesy. Ding Ling then relaxed a little. Take a night's rest. Tomorrow you can take Zilong and the others down the mountain. Tong Yuan smiled and said. Zilong's martial arts have reached the top level of first-class generals. If he wants to break through again, he must rely on battlefield training or confront more masters. Let him follow you to Luoyang to gain more experience. He looked at Zhao Yun. Zilong, what do you think? I will obey the master's orders, Zhao Yun said respectfully. Good, good. Tong Yuan clapped his hands and praised. My life is not in vain. I am able to see the rise of younger geniuses like you. Chapter 55, The Sensation After Descending the Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I look forward to the day when I can hear about you on Penglai Mountain becoming famous all over the world and becoming the god of war. Tong Yuan's words still resonated in his ears. The next day, Ding Ling led the horses down the mountain with Zhao Zilong, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Zhao Bingxian. He looked back at Penglai Mountain hidden in the clouds, and his mood was inexplicably complicated. Didn't stay here long, but it seemed like he had been there for many years. Tong Yuan confided in him and taught him the Dharma without any reservation, which made him moved and grateful. He feels that if he succeeds in his studies in the future, it is only right to repay this kindness. Let's go. Zhao Yun also turned around 3 times with one step. He was holding a famous Duan horse named Yezhao Jade Lion and holding a silver gentian spear. Wearing a shiny silver armor, he looks majestic and majestic. These are the weapons, mounts, and armor given to Zhao Yun by Tong Yuan. This is all he has, and he can only apologize to Ding Ling for this. Ding Ling has weapons, armor, and strong horses, so naturally he doesn't need Tong Yuan's. Perhaps it was precisely because Tong Yuan paid Zhao Yun almost no thought of reward that he was so reluctant to part with him. When can we come back? Zhao Yun looked at Ding Ling, obviously considering Ding Ling as his backbone. It was originally according to Zhao Yun's original idea. He is going to join the army and serve his country. The best way to serve the country is to guard the borders, kill bandits, or fight against the barbarians who invade the Han territory. But his master asked him to follow Ding Ling to Luoyang to learn more. Zhao Yun had no reason to refuse. Growing up, he had indeed never been to Luoyang, and he was quite fascinated by the capital of the Han dynasty. When I become the god of war, the best general in the world. Ding Ling raised his eyebrows and said. Zhao Yun hesitated for a moment, then nodded honestly, indicating that he understood. If anyone else said this, he would feel too arrogant. But Ding Ling is different. He has this potential. Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian also held a horse each obediently. Zhao Xiaoyu originally had no horse, but there was no shortage of ordinary horses on the mountain, so she naturally got one. At this moment she couldn't help but interjected. Second brother, Brother Ding, what about me and sister Bingxian? Can we go to Luoyang together? Follow if you want. Ding Ling didn't take it seriously. It's not like he's going to fight for world supremacy or engage in any conspiracy. I went to Luoyang just to learn martial arts and become stronger. It's not a big problem to bring a few people with you, and Zhao Xiaoyu also knows martial arts. His skills are not weak, and he is more than enough to deal with a few thieves. But before leaving, it's best to clean up the bandits around you. Zhao Yun thought of the banditry in Changshan County and became worried. If the gangsters come again while we are away, can Zayajayakan stop them? That's a problem. Ding Ling pondered for a while and said. I will write a letter to General Pan Feng. I believe that with his help, banditry will not be a concern. When the Zhao Yun brothers and sisters heard this, they were naturally very grateful. The group of people chatted and drifted away. The players who were staying on Penglai Mountain and at the foot of the mountain saw such a happy scene. They were disgusted and jealous, but also quite shocked. It seems that the previous speculation is true. Ding Ling really learned the peerless magic skill, so he was allowed to go down the mountain. Incredible. How did he do it? In just a few days. I think this is a bit dreamy and should be fake. But look at Ding Ling. He has abducted Zhao Zilong now. How many people wanted to abduct Zhao Zilong, but they couldn't. As soon as Ding Ling came, he did it in a few days. Ah, I'm so jealous. Ah. My god of war Zhao Zilong. Not a word about magical powers, just the abduction of Zhao Zilong was enough to cause endless waves in the entire Three Kingdoms world. After all, Zhao Zilong's popularity in the real world is unparalleled. Both boys and girls are extremely fond of Zhao Zilong. Some players who were assigned to study martial arts in Penglai Mountain by chance felt ecstatic when they saw Zhao Zilong, thinking that their opportunity had come, yet they worked hard for so long. It has no effect at all. Ding Ling is here. In just a few days, even people and horses were kidnapped. This is simply unreasonable. With the publicity of some thoughtful people, this matter quickly spread throughout the players' square and reached the ears of many players. Many players are in an uproar. I'm amazed at Ding Ling's speed of progress and progress in acquiring powerful generals. Everyone was talking about it. Or discussed Ding Ling's family background, talent, and roots. Or discuss how strong Ding Ling is and why he hides his clumsiness so well in the real world. Because of Zhao Zilong's abduction, Ding Ling's name even began to fall into the ears of many players who didn't care about current affairs. It can be said, Ding Ling really became an instant hit. He was very popular before, but there are also many players who don't pay attention to the rankings and quietly improve themselves. Therefore, I don't know much about him, but he abducted Zhao Zilong, which made many people curious and turned their attention to him. They couldn't help but pay attention to Ding Ling. This attention, they seemed to have discovered a new world, and they couldn't help but exclaimed, monster. And impossible. Incredible. How could there be such a person in this world? Suddenly, everything is possible. There is no doubt about it, Ding Ling's level of attention reached a new peak at this moment. This shows Zhao Zilong's terrifying popularity. No other strong player would have received so much attention. But Zhao Zilong is the legendary fierce man who can go in and out 7 times without any damage. Handsome, tall and handsome are his standard features. Such an outstanding person, who doesn't care about it? Certainly, Ding Ling is currently unaware of these. He followed Zhao Yun and the others back to Zhejiakan. I received warm hospitality from the villagers of Zhejiakan. Almost on the same day, a letter was delivered to Ding Ling in a hurry. It was jointly sent by Pen Feng, Zhu Shou and others. The person who delivered the letter was an elite cavalryman, who turned out to be an experienced player. Players can know that Ding Ling is in Zhejiakan, and Ding Ling is not surprised. He opened the letter and read it, couldn't help but smile. What's wrong? Zhao Yun looked sideways. The governor of Changshan County, Dong Xian, accused me of dereliction of duty and insulting him. Pan Feng, Zhu Shou, Tian Feng and others jointly rejected it. And they took advantage of the opportunity to read this Dong Xian book. As expected, Dong Xian will either abdicate the throne and make way for others. Go to Yecheng, or you will obediently hand over the military power to me. Isn't this a good thing? Zhao Yun expressed congratulations. Ding Ling nodded. I have long been aware of Dong Xian's dissatisfaction and malice towards me, so I went directly to Penglai Mountain to learn martial arts. I did not go to the barracks and other important places. I came back this time to resolve this matter, so I resigned General Hu Ben and directly go to Luoyang. Chapter 56, The County Magistrate's Apology. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why don't you, a good official? Zhao Xiaoyu was surprised. I originally thought so too. I felt that it would be more convenient to have an official body to deal with things, manage interpersonal relationships, or strike up conversations and communicate with some people. But after seeing the kung fu of the old-timers, I realized that as long as if you are strong enough, what does it matter whether you are an official or not? Ding Ling activated her acting skills at full level and showed great confidence. As long as I become the best general in the world, many people will ask me to become an official. Zhao Xiaoyu, Zhao Yun and others suddenly realized it, and then nodded in agreement, feeling that what they said made sense. In troubled times, an army of thousands is easy to obtain, but a general is difficult to find. Everyone knows this, and the most powerful general in the world is extremely hard to find. If Ding Ling becomes the best general in the world, countless people will definitely rush to send him to the official position. Think so? Zhao Yun and others couldn't help but recognize Ding Ling's thinking mode more and more. Ding Ling didn't explain any more and just said. It's just that now that Dong Xian has to suffer the consequences, there is no need for General Hu Ben to resign. I will keep him for the time being. I don't think he will be of any use. That I had reason to resign before. After all, Dong Xian was almost openly dissatisfied with him. He could simply say that he was suppressed by Shangguan and was not suitable for the job of guard general, and then leave directly. There is no reason to resign now. Naturally, Ding Ling was too lazy to resign. There was no harm in staying, only benefits, so why should he resign? It was just as Ding Ling expected. Within a few hours, Dong Xian personally came to Zhejiakan with a team of soldiers and horses to apologize to Ding Ling. He looked embarrassed and ashamed, and did not dare to look directly at Ding Ling. Because of his complaint, he and Ding Ling can now be said to be incompatible. even if he apologizes, I believe Ding Ling will not trust him, just like his mental state. Even though he made amends and apologized, he still felt a knot in his heart and cared about it, and Dong Xian only needs to maintain a superficial relationship, so that at least his life can be bearable, but Ding Ling would not coddle him. He directly took his military symbols, gifts, etc., and then told him. You can get out. Dong Xian paused, and a ball of fire suddenly burst out in his heart. He endured it again and again, but finally couldn't bear it anymore, snorted angrily, and walked away. Hee hee. Ding Ling disagreed. There is no record of Dong Xian in the Three Kingdoms, so he must have died. There is no need to pay attention to this dead man Ding Ling. Anyway, he can't get any achievement medals on him. Aren't you afraid of his revenge? Zhao Yun was a little worried. If he wanted revenge, he would have done so long ago. Ding Ling said. But he doesn't dare. Pan Feng, Jushu and others have jointly warned him. Unless he wants to die, he doesn't dare to touch me. On the contrary, he really hopes that I can be more stable, because if something goes wrong with me, the first person Pan Feng, Zhu Shou and Sun Chen will look for will still be him. I see. Zhao Yun was relieved. He seemed to still have a lot of doubts. Ding Ling directly took the military talisman and rode towards the direction of Zhending City. Okay, follow me to the barracks. We will try to wipe out the banditry near Zhejiakan within 3 days. In this way, you can follow me to Luoyang with peace of mind. Zhao Yun was refreshed and immediately urged the Yezhao Jade Lion to follow him. Zhao Feng, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Zhao Bingxian also followed. Zhao Feng is also a second-rate military general, and he is more than enough to be a general in the barracks. Ding Ling is ready to promote him. In this case, Zhao Feng led troops and horses to guard Zhejiakan and Zhending City, and ordinary gangsters would not dare to get too close. After all, no one likes hard work. Blink, just 2 days passed. During this period, Ding Ling wrote several letters and asked players and NPCs to send them to Yeqing to Pan Feng, Sun Chen and others. The reason why players and NPCs are allowed to deliver letters, it's because the roads are not peaceful now, and there are many people who are intercepted and killed while delivering messages, so players are relatively smarter, but players are not very stable, and it is common for some players to disappear halfway, so some more NPCs were sent to deliver it. Just to make it more appropriate, the content of the letter is nothing more than the hope that Pan Feng, Sun Chen and others can take more care of Zhejiakan, and at the same time hope that they can be assigned a few lieutenants. Zhao Yun and Zhao Feng are very suitable. Hopefully they can convince Zhizhou to agree. The day after the letter was written, Ding Ling led 2,000 soldiers and horses to encircle and suppress the bandits near Zhejiakan. The siege lasted for 2 days. During this period, countless thieves and bandits were killed, and several weapons and armors, dozens of maids, and a few medicinal materials were seized. The house of the maids was destroyed. Ding Ling placed them in Zhejiakan. As for the captured equipment and armor, Ding Ling also gave them directly to the villagers in Zhejiakan and asked them to arm an elite squad. The people of Zhejiakan are inherently brave. This time with weapons and armor, he looked even more powerful. This is a force that Ding Ling can recruit at any time in the future. And medicinal materials. Ding Ling washed it directly and ate it raw. Kaz. After eating a piece of ginseng in one bite, Ding Ling felt that his limbs and bones began to slowly heat up, but it's because the spiritual phoenix breathing technique has reached Dzogchen and can operate independently to absorb the power of the medicine. As soon as ginseng enters the stomach, the medicinal power in it begins to be extracted and refined. The medicinal power enters the skin and meridians. Ding Ling can clearly feel that his physical fitness is improving. However, this feeling of heat only lasts for a few breaths. Ding Ling carefully looked at the character panel. There is no change at all. It seems that there are fewer medicinal materials. Ding Ling thought. Then he swallowed all the medicinal materials raw. He is now extremely powerful, and his digestion ability is naturally terrifying. In addition, many medicinal materials taste the same as wild vegetables, so it does not affect digestion. The most important thing is that the Lingwang breathing method has the ability to absorb the medicinal power, so Ding Ling can eat it raw without worry. The Lingwang breathing method that has reached the perfect Rui realm has this power. The Ling Wang breathing method that is slightly less comprehensible may need to refine the medicinal materials before absorbing the medicinal power. Through the medicinal bath, and this. Not only is it time-consuming, laborious and mentally exhausting. It will also waste a lot of medicinal power. Swallowing directly can perfectly absorb all the medicinal power. But even so, all the herbs went into his stomach. Ding Ling's character panel also changed slightly. Strength plus 0.1. Defense plus 0.1, only two aspects were increased by 0.1, Ding Ling knew that the herbs must be too common for the bandits. There were only a few ginsengs, the most precious ones, most of the others were ordinary herbs. How could they satisfy the cultivation and absorption of the spirit phoenix breathing method? It's better than nothing. Ding Ling clenched his fist slightly, feeling that his strength had improved a little, and he was quite satisfied. It's time to prepare to go to Luoyang. Ding Ling cheered up. I'll leave as soon as Pan Feng and Tian Feng's reply arrives. Chapter 57 5 Stone Bow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Only the official positions of Zhao Feng and Zhao Yun were confirmed. Ding Ling finally left with peace of mind. If not, there is no one guarding this place, maybe banditry will happen again. If Zhaojiakan is destroyed because of this, Zhao Yun and others will definitely be confused and extremely sad. Ding Ling now regards Zhao Yun as a friend. Naturally, they don't want Zhaojiakan to be destroyed. Say it again, the people of Zhaojiakan now recognize and admire him very much, and they almost respond to his call. Where can I find such naturally loyal subordinates? Ding Ling also did not allow Zhaojiakan to be destroyed. Ding Ling thought like this and was about to get up and leave. Report. A scout quickly broke into the camp and loudly reported the military situation to Ding Ling. A bandit army came from a few miles away. There are no less than 3,000 in number. They are rushing towards our direction. Oh, Ding Ling was stunned, then laughed. These gangsters are really audacious. They know we are suppressing bandits. They dare to come in brazenly. This is a complete lack of regard for us officers and soldiers. Let me go meet them. Zhao Yun is eager to try. If we don't get rid of the bandits, how can we leave our hometown with peace of mind? In the past few days of bandit suppression activities, Zhao Yun has repeatedly rushed to the front. After experiencing initial discomfort, he performed very bravely. Killing bandits is like killing a chicken, it is truly invincible. Often with one shot, 7 or 8 thieves would be directly stabbed to death. One person is as good as an army. It's Zhao Yun he's talking about. And Zhao Yun is not at his peak now. He is still making progress every day, and is constantly moving towards becoming a top-notch warrior. Thinking about it, when he reaches the super level, there will probably be very few people in the world who can block his quick spear. Many of Tong Yuan's marksmanship focus on agility and speed. This is especially true for 100 Bird's chaotic phoenix spear. In addition, Zhao Yun has practiced the Ling Wang breathing technique for more than 10 years and has taken medicinal baths countless times. His physical condition is terrifying. If not, he wouldn't have been able to confront Ding Ling several times, even if Ding Ling loses her temper. But if a general warrior had a head-on confrontation with Ding Ling, he might be beaten to death. Zhao Yun's endurance, and physical fitness are evident. Good. Ding Ling smiled and said. I want to see which thieves are so bold. Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian did not come. When Zhao Feng, Zhao Yun, and other generals heard Ding Ling's words, they all rushed out wearing armor and holding soldiers. After a while, the troop count will be completed. Ding Ling took the lead and rushed towards the bandits' position mentioned by the scouts. Zhao Yun, Zhao Feng and other generals followed closely behind. After that came 2,000 Yuanjiang cavalry and infantry. They were commanded by some middle-level generals and followed quickly in an orderly manner. Logically speaking, when commanding a battle, troops should be arranged in formation, with the soldiers charging first and then the generals confronting them. Ding Ling was in the process of suppressing bandits. I found that arranging troops to confront the gangsters was a complete overkill. The gangster didn't deserve his careful treatment. He only needs to lead Zhao Yun and other powerful generals to single-handedly challenge the enemy generals, kill the enemy leader, and the bandit army will naturally be in chaos, and then lead the troops to rush out. and the bandit army will collapse without a fight. This method is tried and true, but later, the bandit army also knew that Ding Ling's generals were powerful and refused to fight alone. Even so, Zhao Yun and Ding Ling can also find the enemy leader among thousands of troops and capture the thief first. The leader of the thief who was hiding far away was shot dead by Ding Ling with his bow and arrow. Ding Ling's basic archery skills are at full level. With his super physical fitness, he can easily draw the 5-stone bow. When the bow is fully drawn, the arrow speed is extremely fast. The average thief leader is not even as good as a third-rate general. If he is targeted by Ding Ling, he will basically end up being shot. It is precisely because of the cooperation of the 5-stone bow. Only then did Ding Ling feel that there was no need to make a big fanfare and arrange troops to confront the leader of the bandit. As long as he can take the enemy general's head among all the troops, the enemy's defeat is naturally doomed. Ding Ling touched the big bow on the side of the horse's back and thought. Now that I have control over the barracks, the only good thing I can think of is this 5-stone bow, that there are not many 5-stone bows in Jizhou barracks, because people who can draw a 5-stone bow and are good at archery are almost extinct in Jizhou. Although Pan Feng is strong, his archery skills are average, so of course he doesn't need a 5-stone bow. Generally, a first-rate powerhouse would find a 3-stone bow or a 4-stone bow sufficient, because pulling the 5-stone bow requires 600 kilograms of strength. Top-notch generals can pull away, but most of them are good at long weapons and breathing techniques. Not many people are good at archery, therefore, they will not be equipped with such a heavy bow. Ding Ling was able to find this bow in the barracks treasury of Jinding City in Jizhou because no one in the army could pull it, and the bow had been gathering dust for a long time. With this bow, the leader of the thief is nothing to worry about. Ding Ling raised his eyebrows slightly. He is thinking. If I can get the archery skills of Huang Zhong and other fierce generals, and use this kind of bow, even if I go to the martial arts world, the average master will probably be shot by me. That he was ready to move, I began to think about when to go to Jingzhou to find Huang Zhong and see if I could learn his martial arts skills. Too many skills don't overwhelm the body. Not to mention that max-level skills can also enhance your foundation and combat power. High-level skills can directly improve physical fitness. Low-level skills now also have the effect of improving defense. Ding Ling naturally has no reason to miss it. For him, the more martial arts and skills the better. Ta-ta. Tap tap tap. In the sound of kicking horses, Ding Ling and Zhao Yun galloped side by side. It didn't take long, they saw a group of thieves galloping on the road ahead. The thieves were like locusts passing by, and it was clear that there were many women and belongings mixed in their ranks. No need to think too much, I also knew that this must have been plundered by bandits. Zhao Yun was furious and wanted to rush out, but he finally thought that he was not on the mountain but in the army. He couldn't help but look at Ding Ling and ask for orders to kill the enemy. Ding Ling nodded. Zhao Yun was overjoyed, and immediately galloped out on horseback, came to the formation of the two armies, and shouted loudly. How dare a group of gangsters dare to fight to the death with me? She looks fair and clean like a girl. A general rushed out from the bandit army. He was holding a spear. He was tall and strong, probably not more than 1.9 meters tall, and his whole body was filled with a strong aura. Your grandfather's name is Wulu. When you go to hell, remember to call me by my name. You will die. That he killed Zhao Yun. The spear danced in his hand. Boom. A wave of evil aura erupted, and boundless storms emerged out of thin air. Looking at his methods and demeanor, he was clearly a second-rate general. When the gangsters saw this, they became energetic and started making noises. Zhao Yun smiled slightly and was not annoyed. He clamped the horse's belly and waved the spear in his hand. The birds showed their power towards the phoenix spear with a clang. Clang, clang, clang. While blocking the 5-deer spear, Zhao Yun's spear instantly lit up 9 stars. Chapter 58, An Arrow Shot Through the Shoulder Blade. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Accompanied by a sonorous sound, poof. Wulu didn't even have time to block Zhao Yun's move before he was stabbed in the forehead. He couldn't help but widen his eyes, with a look of disbelief on his face. His huge body swayed, He fell down from the horse, and died with his brain broken. From the time Wulu rushed out to the battle between the two sides, in just one round, it could be said that life and death were decided in an instant. The morale of the gangsters was greatly reduced and people were panicked. On the other hand, Ding Ling's side was greatly boosted in morale, beating drums and cheering loudly. Suppress bandits. For a few days, Ding Ling and Zhao Yun have become god generals supported by everyone in the military camp. The defenders of Changshan County have always been very cowardly in fighting. They are often bullied by bandits and dare not attack them, so they can only passively defend the city. This makes banditry more and more rampant. However, the county guard was incompetent, and the general was shot to death with an arrow while fighting the enemy in anger. All the soldiers he led were killed without exception. Since then, the remaining defenders were even more insecure and afraid of going to the battlefield. And Ding Ling's arrival, let these defenders truly realize what the god of war is. Strong general. Especially when Ding Ling and Zhao Yun teamed up to directly wipe out a bandit army without any need for them to take action. It was the first time for them to experience the intimidating power of a supermaster. Yes, today's defenders have great morale, and everyone is fighting bravely to take the lead. In their opinion, to fight with such a general is to take credit. How can we be willing to fall behind? Everyone is in high spirits and has high morale. At this moment, seeing Zhao Yun's victory again, they felt that it was natural and at the same time, their blood boiled with excitement. Everyone clenched their weapons and waited for Ding Ling's order to immediately charge to kill the enemy. 5 Dear, that the leader of the thieves was shocked. How is it possible that I can't even stop him for one round? Could it be that the coming generals are Zhang He and Gao Lan? But upon closer inspection, it didn't look like it. He couldn't help but shouted. Can I tell you the name of the person coming? Changshan Zhao Zilong. Zhao Yunduan sits on the back of the Yezhao Jade Lion, holding a bright silver gentian gun in his hand, showing his majesty and magnanimity. I heard the words, Changshan Zhao Zilong. The player on the leading thief side was confused first. Damn it, it's Zhao Yun. How can we win against such a tough guy? Why is Zhao Yun here? Damn it. Have you been addicted to the game world recently and haven't visited the players' plaza? As long as you have visited the plaza or gone online in the real world, you should know that Zhao Yun was abducted by Ding Ling. Why don't you make such a fuss? There was a tall and thin player who couldn't help but despise several players who looked frightened. After hearing this, these players were shocked and confused. You damn well know that Zhao Yun is here, but you still dare to come and die. I just came to see my idol, and now that I can see him, he is really majestic. Don't look at me like that. After meeting your idol, I will take the opportunity to run away. Relatively speaking, there are not many players, no more than 100, but their fear of fighting was very obvious, and it was easily passed on to other bandits. Thieves are people who bully the weak and fear the strong. Seeing that Ding Ling has such a fierce general, many thieves who think they are brave do not dare to rush out and die. When the leader of the thieves saw this, he secretly thought something bad and couldn't help but shouted. It's just Changshan Zhao Zilong, a nobody. If you dare to come and die, I will help you. He waved his hand and shouted. Come on. Kill him and avenge the leader of Wulu. Ding Ling saw that the bandit leader was tall and powerful, with big eyes. He couldn't help but take out a big bow and spurred his horse forward. When the distance was about 100 meters away, he suddenly bent his bow and set an arrow, and drew the bow to full. Call out. Loose the string. Call out. Accompanied by the ear-piercing sound of breaking through the air, the arrow was like a stream of light, shooting towards the thief's head at an extremely fast speed. Careful, but when someone saw Ding Ling bending his bow and setting an arrow, they wanted to laugh at Ding Ling for not knowing his own abilities. How could he hit the target when he was so far away? Therefore, the leader of the thieves was not alerted, but after seeing how terrifying the power of this arrow was, he was so frightened that he couldn't help but scream, but it's too late. The 5-stone bow is matched with Ding Ling's more than 2,000 kilograms of strength, and he also has full-level basic archery skills. What a perfect match! Even though the thief saw the brilliant starburst in the later stage and avoided the vital point in time, he was still shot through the shoulder blade by the arrow. The huge force also forced the thief's head to fly off the horse, knocking over a soldier behind him, and then rolled to the ground. The leader of the thieves is dead. Ding Ling took the opportunity to shout loudly, put down his bow and arrow, and charged out with Fang Tian's painted halberd. Kill with me. Kill. Kill. The morale of Ding Ling's side is through the roof. Our general is a god general, his bravery reaches an unbelievable level, and he can hit a thief in the head with one arrow from such a distance. Just ask the world, how many people can do this? With such a general, how could he not win the battle? On the other hand, the leader of the thieves was already panicking because the leader was captured. When they saw Ding Ling, the fierce generals headed by Ding Ling and Zhao Yun came towards them fiercely, and their livers and gallbladders were even more broken. More than 100 players were the first batch to run away. They were also shocked by Ding Ling's force. I've heard that Ding Ling is incredibly powerful. I didn't believe it, but today I finally saw it. The arrow just now was too terrifying. Damu, a second-rate top general, was almost shot to death. If I face this arrow, I will definitely die. That's because we were too far away. If we were closer, Damu would have no way to avoid it. He's too strong, he's just a beast in human form. That the players turned their heads while running, seeing Ding Ling leading the way. He was the first to rush into the bandit army led by Damu, with the Fang Tian Hua Ji in his hand raised, occasionally shooting out a dozen stars, clang clang clang. In an instant, more than a dozen bandits were killed instantly. Sometimes the Fang Tian Hua Ji swept, like clouds rolling and spreading, and the cloud strike force directly swept away 5 or 6 bandits. Sometimes the Fang Tian Hua Ji chopped, and cut, turning as desired, just like a sharp axe creating the world. In an instant, 7 or 8 axes were chopped out, which could chop and kill several people. Ding Ling alone broke through the elite square formation at the front. The bandit leader's side was in chaos. This guy is too fierce, that the players were dumbfounded. We are all players, how can he be so powerful? More players envied and jealous. I dream of riding a horse on the battlefield and killing enemies at will. Now Ding Ling has realized this dream before me. He is not an old player. Not to mention an internal test player. I really don't understand how he can be so awesome. It's too explosive. It's a pity that I can't take a video. If I had a mobile phone, I would definitely take a picture of this scene and send it to the internet. The clicks will definitely exceed 100 million easily. How did this guy practice? I really want to catch him and torture him. Chapter 59 Black Mountain Army Damu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding Ling marched ahead to break the army. It's like a clipper breaking away from the big waves, unstoppable. Zhao Yun later cleared some obstacles for Ding Ling and perfectly acted as the strongest support, leaving Ding Ling without any worries. The two worked together perfectly, just relying on the strength of 2 people. They killed and injured no less than hundreds of gangsters. The gangsters who were killed were frightened and fled in panic. Several thieves wearing general armor were even stabbed through their shoulder blades and other vital parts by Ding Ling. They were knocked to the ground and ordered to be tied up. As for the leader of the thieves, he wanted to run away, but was caught up by the fast Zhao Yun and stabbed to the ground. If it weren't for Ding Ling, he would have survived. None of these thieves will survive. Surrender without killing. Ding Ling shouted loudly. The thieves who were killed by Ding Ling's side knelt down and begged for surrender. At the request of Zhao Feng and others, they lost their weapons and took off their armor. Everyone looked downcast, without the ferocious aura from earlier. As for some of the thieves who had fled without a trace, Ding Ling didn't bother to order people to hunt them down. He just ordered the rectification of this group of gangsters. After, Ding Ling walked up to the thief leader. Seeing the frightened look on his face, I couldn't help but smile. May I have your name? Damu. The thief leader replied with an anxious expression. Damu. Ding Ling had long thought that the name Wulu was familiar. After hearing Damu again, he suddenly realized. Are you the Montenegrin army? Your Excellency, you have a keen eye, Damu said cautiously. Sir, I have no grievances against you, please let me live. The leader of the Black Mountain Army will definitely be extremely grateful to you. Zhang Fian. Or Zhang Nyojiao. It's Zhang Fian. Li Damu was very restrained and nervous. When Zhang Nyojiao was on the battlefield earlier, he was accidentally shot by a stray arrow and was seriously injured and died. Thinking of the arrow he had just hit, Li Damu couldn't help but shiver, and a sharp pain shot into his forehead. The veins on his forehead bulged in pain, and he took a breath. Naturally, he was even more afraid of Ding Ling, the instigator of all this, such archery skills. Such great power. Think again about the way Ding Ling held Fang Tian's painted halberd when he just charged, killing the enemy with ease. Li Damu was even more shocked to the extreme, just because he discovered that Ding Ling's strength far exceeded Zhang Fian and other leaders of the Black Mountain Army. It can be said, all the leaders of the Black Mountain Army together would most likely not be able to defeat Ding Ling. Thinking about this, he became more and more frightened, regretting blindly going down the mountain to attack Ding Ling's army this time. He thought that Ding Ling's officers and soldiers were just like the soft persimmons from earlier. Even if it is strong, it must be limited. There is a high probability that he can destroy the opponent, but there is a small probability that he will not win. There is no problem in escaping. Who would have thought that this time it would hit the iron plate with such a bang? I almost killed myself. Zhang Fian. Ding Ling pondered, judging from historical trends and the plot of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Zhang Fian is a very knowledgeable, general and knowledgeable person. From the fact that he surrendered to Chaomengda, it can be seen that he did not have the ambition to dominate the world in the later period. What he wanted was probably a relatively reliable future. Thinking like this, Ding Ling asked Li Damu a few more questions. When I learned that Zhang Fian was operating not far from here, he immediately summoned some thieves and wrote several letters and asked them to send them to Zhang Fian, for smooth progress. Ding Ling also asked one of his players to accompany him, and promised the player that if the letter was delivered successfully, he would teach him high-level sword skills. The player was overjoyed and hurriedly followed, no need to doubt. There are also players in the garrison of Ding Ling's Xinding City. Players are all over the world. Some were lucky enough to follow Zhang Liao and others, while others naturally followed some unknown people, and some even went directly to the mountains to become bandits. The players in Xinding City are currently learning only some pile skills and have not been exposed to the real long weapon skills. Ding Ling's promise was timely. Players will naturally work hard to complete it. Although there is no loyalty in their hearts, when it comes to cunning and cleverness, ordinary NPCs are really not as good as them. To drive players, all it takes is bundling interests. Ding Ling doesn't need their loyalty, he doesn't fight for hegemony. Same day, the messenger from Yeqing is back. He brought some good news. Thanks to the hard work of Pan Feng, Jishu and others, Jizhou Muhan Fu agreed to the official positions of Zhao Yun and Zhao Feng. It can be said that Zhao Yun and Zhao Feng rose to the top in one step, directly skipping the positions of Corps Commander, Chief Commander, and Village Commander, etc., and directly jumped to the position of Deputy General, which is one level higher than Army Sima. There's someone in the court who likes to be an official. Ding Ling sighed with emotion, hand the general armor and official seal to Zhao Feng and Zhao Yun. Both of them were very excited. I am extremely grateful to Ding Ling. The two of them naturally knew that without Ding Ling, they would not be able to become generals directly. Ding Ling now has an extraordinary status and can receive great help from Sun Chen, Pan Feng and others. If it were before, it's impossible for him to have such a big influence, but Pan Feng and others are so awesome. Ding Ling also secretly decided that he would need to help them in the future to repay this favor. Except for the good news about Zhao Feng and the others, Ding Ling's imperial edict has also arrived. This time the edict was delivered by a eunuch from Luoyang. Ding Ling only knew that he was the newly promoted Huangmeng of the imperial court, named Duanmu Qing. Duanmu. Ding Ling couldn't help but take a look at Duanmu Qing. He saw that he had a fair face and a beardless face. He was quite handsome, but he had a strong body and a tall stature. At first glance, he looked like a man who practiced martial arts all year round. In addition to the way he spoke, Ding Ling realized. Are you a player? Hey. Duanmu King's smile immediately revealed his true identity. He was also looking at Ding Ling. Finally, I saw Ding Ling, who has been so popular recently. He is taller and more handsome than the pictures circulating on the internet. Not bad. Ding Ling raised his eyebrows and said. Your imperial edict has also been sent. If nothing happens, I won't accept you. You can do whatever you want. Don't. Duanmu reached out and grabbed Ding Ling. It is rumored that you are the heir of a hidden family. I am very curious and want to ask if you are. Oh. Ding Ling has been offline several times during this period, even because of his huge appetite and amazing progress in strength. He was once again short of money, so he had no choice but to borrow his neighbor Uncle Zhang's ID card, bank card and other documents to go to an internet cafe to surf the internet, and did several jobs that made him money quickly. Among them are extremely niche translation work in small languages, nearby repair work, etc. The reason why Ding Ling knows how to be a repairman is naturally because his skills in this area are maxed out. Wearing a mask, hat, and makeup to cover up, it is very easy to go to your home for repair services such as air conditioners, computers, refrigerators, etc. Although others were curious about why he was so tightly dressed, in a society governed by law, no one believed that he dared to commit murder in broad daylight when there were people at home. Once anyone asked, Ding Ling said that he had the flu, so no one asked any more questions. So Ding Ling made a lot of money during this period, but he estimated that he would not stay in the village for long. Chapter 60 Duanmu's Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Always ready to run away, Ding Ling estimated that this time he would once again improve his strength and return to the real world. He would rent a new house again. It's not easy for him to stay in one place for too long. Mobile renting is more suitable for him. As for how to repay Uncle Zhang's favor, Ding Ling was going to return the borrowed bank card to him. There was a lot of money in the card. It's a sincere thought. Most people would never lend their documents to others. If Uncle Zhang could trust Ding Ling so much, it would be impossible for Ding Ling to trick him. Now, when Ding Ling heard that Duanmu said that he was the inheritor of a hidden family, he couldn't help but be slightly startled, but he quickly came to his senses. It must be the result of false rumors, but the more chaotic the outcome, the better for him. It is easier for him to hide and cover himself. Thinking about this, Ding Ling activated his full-level acting skills and acted in an extremely cryptic manner, as if he was eager to clear up the relationship. He shook his head and said, Rumors are terrible. I am not from a hidden family. Yeah. Ding Ling replied too simply. In addition, the expressions and movements are too natural and at the same time have a bit of an unforgettable taste. Duanmu did not believe what Ding Ling said. He felt that Ding Ling must be related to the hidden family. He couldn't help but feel excited and gossipy. Brother, can you tell me about the hidden family? I really want to know. Do I know you well? Ding Ling was surprised. Who do you think you are? He lowered his face and said. I'm going to rest. Go back. Brother, don't bother me. Duanmu seemed very natural and thick-skinned. He didn't take Ding Ling's expression to heart at all and said with a smile. I'm a reporter in the real world. Don't worry, as long as you cooperate with me, I will make you look special. Ding Ling left directly. Duanmu hurriedly followed. Brother, please cooperate. I am now the Huangmenlang of the Imperial Court. Give me some face. I am the one who has direct access to Tianting and can talk to Dongzhuo. Who knows, I will be able to find a better deal for you then. Errand. Ding Ling was too lazy to talk to him. This Duanmu looked like some kind of unscrupulous reporter. If he really believed what he said, Ding Ling would lose his mind. But this kind of guy can get into such an important position as Huangmenlang. This shows the corruption of Dongzhuo's system. Wanduzi is probably not far away. The participation of players will definitely catalyze and accelerate the progress of history. I don't know if the three heroes battle Lubu will happen. But the prince's challenge to Dong will definitely happen in the near future. Ding Ling had to finish his business here and rush to Luoyang to learn martial arts. If we arrive too late and Luoyang is burned down like history, then Tong Yuan's old friend will definitely be missing. In the vast sea of people, where can we find this expert? Therefore, we must rush to Luoyang to learn martial arts before the princes attack Dong. Brother, Ding Ling, Duanmu shouted. Aren't you afraid that I'll throw dirty water on you if you don't cooperate? Aren't you afraid that I'll say bad things about you in front of Dongzhuo? Ding Ling suddenly looked back at Duanmu. Duanmu was excited. Brother, please cooperate. Zhao Yun. Ding Ling shouted loudly. Zhao Yun took a step forward and cupped his fists. General. In full view of everyone, Zhao Yun respected Ding Ling very much. Of course, in private, everyone talks about it, so there is no need to be so formal. Kick this guy out. Ding Ling pointed at Duanmu. If you really don't cooperate, just stab him to death. Ding Ling is not a soft persimmon who can be manipulated by others. Still want to threaten him? I'll fight you once and for all next time. Ding Ling. You really dare not to cooperate with me? Do you dare to attack me? Do you believe that after returning home, I immediately encouraged Dongzhuo to attack you, that when Duanmu saw Zhao Yun striding towards him, he couldn't help but panicked and shouted. Stab him to death, Ding Ling ordered. Zhao Yun decisively shook the spear in his hand. Phew. 9 guns flashed past, and Duanmu was stabbed to death without even having time to say his last words, but Ding Ling knew that this guy couldn't die. It is expected to be resurrected soon, but the feud between the two was finally forged. Ding Ling was also helpless. He didn't want to deal with players too much, but that's how it goes sometimes. He doesn't look for trouble, trouble will find itself at your door. This Duanmu is also seeking death. I knew he was impatient, but I kept stroking his beard. I guess this kind of thing is often done in reality. It's so audacious and has no bottom line. Ding Ling, who was put out of mood by Duanmu, was there the next day. Got some good news. Zhang Fian is willing to negotiate with Ding Ling. Place. Ding Ling looked at Zhao Zhantang. He is the player who cooperated to deliver the letter. He looks very smart. Under an unknown hill dozens of miles away from Zhending City. After Zhao Zhantang finished speaking, he looked at Ding Ling expectantly. Ding Ling smiled and handed him the high-level sword technique secret book that he had prepared not long ago. This is the secret. Thank you boss. No, thank you general. Zhao Zhantang was overjoyed and instinctively blurted out a thank you to his boss. After he realized what he said, he quickly changed his words. Look at the way he looks. In reality, it should be in the service industry. Otherwise, this instinct would not be engraved almost in the bones. Okay. You will lead the way later. No problem. Zhao Zhantang patted his chest and promised. An hour and a half later, under the nameless hill, Ding Ling led his army here. He saw a well-organized army, with about 1,000 people. Everyone was tall and strong, full of energy, and they were all strong and powerful. In addition, everyone was wearing armor and holding a sharp blade, which was definitely the elite among the elite. Is this Zhang Fian trying to show him off? Ding Ling raised his eyebrows and asked Zhao Feng to lead 2,000 soldiers to stand 100 meters away. He took Zhao Yun and the two rode to the center of the two armies. Ding Ling looked straight at the other party. He saw a man surrounded by the other side soldiers at a glance. The man was wearing armor, a golden helmet, holding a long spear, and a sword hanging on his waist. He was majestic, like a king. Zhang Fian. Ding Ling looked at the other party. Ding Ling. The man with the sword on his waist frowned and looked at Ding Ling. It was obvious that he was Zhang Fian. When he saw that Ding Ling and his companions dared to come to discuss, he admired Ding Ling's courage in his heart, and he couldn't help but shout, and flew forward with the sound of his mount. Behind him, there were several generals with different descriptions, but without exception, they were all extremely fierce. They stared at Ding Ling with their eyes, holding their fingers and weapons tightly, with hostility, vigilance, and tension in their eyes. He is indeed a young hero. Zhang Fian came closer and saw that Ding Ling had an extraordinary appearance and was young, so he couldn't help but praise him. Ding Ling raised his eyebrows slightly. Zhang Fian was very courageous and had extraordinary talents. He knew that he had captured Damu and others, but he dared to praise him like this. No wonder he was able to hire millions of thieves and run rampant in the Black Mountain area, making Yuan Shao and others completely helpless. This kind of courage is not something that ordinary people can have. I won't waste my words. Ding Ling calmed down and went straight to the point. I came to discuss with you because I hope the people in the Black Mountain can restrain your troops and stop looting Changshan County. Thanks to Dragon God for the 100 book coins, thanks to all the book friends who support this book, thank you.